Three, two, one, and we're live. How are you doing, Mr. Ryan? Doing all right?
I'm doing, yeah, I'm doing great. How about yourself, Dylan?
I've been hanging in there, man. Just staying up and trying to stay healthy during the quarantine. What you been up to, man?
Well, I've been working and trying to stay healthy myself, staying safe. I really miss hanging out with my friends, though.
Yeah. So, have you been able to get out at all, or?
Well, I've been able to bowl a bit with with a friend of mine, and no one lately. I've been able to go to work and whatever, but haven't been able to go many gatherings in public. But I do have free access to the Georgia Aquarium for the whole year that a family friend gave me. So I've been using that lately.
Oh, that's been
Seems
nice.
pretty good.
That's
Like
really cool.
I like to sit for hours at the Ocean Voyagers exhibit. Pretty relaxing.
I bet it is, man. You just go and just chill out, relax and take it all in, huh?
Hmm.
So, you bowl a little bit?
Yeah, I love bowling.
How long you been bowling?
Well, I really don't know how long, but I just do it for fun.
Oh, really? Okay. That's kind of cool. I have a couple
But
friends that do a lot of bowling and they're in bowling leagues and it's kind of cool. Have you ever joined one?
well, no, but I just do it for fun. But I really get competitive.
Do you really?
Yeah,
What do you normally bowl? Like your score wise?
like I get over a bit over 100.
Really? I can't ever score above 100. For me, I need to have the little side pins up, the ramps, because I'm so bad at bowling. It's just not good. We have a couple people joining in chat. We have Randall saying, "Hey, Dylan," and then my mom saying, "Hello, what's up, guys? How are you guys doing tonight?" This is Mr. Ryan, Mr. Ryan Lee. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, like I love advocating for the autism community. I was on Special Books by Special Kids 2 years ago, and I really got a lot of followers from there.
What
And
what what is that? What is that?
it's a channel where a guy named Chris Ulmer interviews people with disabilities all over the world and gets to know them. And I was one of the lucky few to be on that channel, you know, and get to know him and get to know people because I want to make the world a better place for the autism community.
So, do you usually talk about what it's like to live with autism, or what do you normally talk about when you advocate for these
I usually
things?
talk about my personal perspective on what it's like to have autism and and what's like I want people to who have autism to be safe. And I try to describe what I went through as autistic growing up.
So, can you
It's
give us
like,
a little bit of description about that?
yeah, it's like autism, it's a neurological disorder, like that affects someone's ability to socialize and communicate. And also like it's hard to fit in when you have a disability. I mean, even before I knew I was diagnosed when I was 3 years old, I always knew I was different. Like always felt like an oddball outside my peers. And I always wondered why I couldn't be accepted or why I couldn't fit in. And more in high school or middle school, people would ignore me and I didn't know why.
So, you found that the most difficult part is just trying to be accepted with autism.
Yeah. And that's the thing is some people just don't get that us autistics are human beings too. Like we give off some unknown vibe to people and they decide to ditch us without us actually knowing the reason. If only people could be more direct with how they're feeling. Like it's not like we're gonna bite.
Isn't that the weirdest situation to be in though? Because normally when people talk about autistic individuals, they usually think that they lack sort of empathy or an ability to connect with other people. But it sounds like what you're saying right here is like it's actually the reverse. Like normal people lack that ability, right?
Hey, that can be for anyone, you know?
Right.
And us autistics, that's just a myth that we don't feel or show empathy. I mean, we can show empathy. It can just be in a different way, you know? Like we might not detect an emotion based on one's body language or one's tone of voice right away. But if only people could be more direct with how they are feeling, then would be much more likely for us to feel or show empathy.
Yeah, I think that's true in a general sense. I think a lot of people need to just learn how to be more direct with what they say. I think we've kind of gotten into this culture where
Mhm.
people don't know or people don't want to say how they truly feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Can you tell me a little bit about like what it's like to, I guess, experience some of the things that you've gone through?
Like I always felt like I always felt like I didn't fit in, like one to be included, you know. Like sometimes it's just like I felt like isolated, you know,
Hmm.
like I felt confused, you know.
What I always found odd was, like we were talking about just a second ago, is, typically, you know, people think that people with autism don't experience emotions or they don't have that social connection. And like you just mentioned, you said that, people with autism really do have that, emotional connection with other people. And what I've found out and through my experience with working with people that have autism is that they tend to show emotion when they feel really attached to a specific thing or a specific connection. Then they give like a lot of that connection to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and sometimes for some autistic like myself, we have great curiosity and get curious about certain things, and we sometimes don't realize when we're going in too deep, you know, because we're very social, you know.
Right.
It's sometimes we're given a hard time when we unintentionally say something stupid or inappropriate, and it's not fair that the world keeps on telling us to improve, to change, or be more appropriate. I mean, just because we can talk, say sentences perfectly, we can have verbal language, it doesn't change the fact that we're still on the spectrum, and nobody's perfect. You know what I mean, Dylan?
Oh, absolutely, man. I talk and say some stupid things normally, man. So I don't think anybody should be held accountable for, every little detail that they say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one of the hardest things to deal with when it comes to being on the spectrum is not being able to pick up on emotional cues right away.
Right.
You see that you, based on one's body language and facial expression, like I said earlier, there are some who just ditch you and don't want to be around you for one stupid reason or another. Like, if only to just tell something that we're doing wrong or something that's bothering them or making them uncomfortable instead of just leaving us in the dark all the time, then we can try to fix it. It's not the end of the line. But there are some who are afraid of how we're going to react or whatever. And that's why they keep us in the dark. And that's not fair to us. And just keeping us in the dark just builds up our anxiety.
Do you find it difficult to express your emotions?
Oh no, I know how to express my emotions because I'm not afraid to say how I feel. And I'm not afraid to fight for what I believe in.
I guess it's part of being an advocate for it, though, right?
Yeah.
So, in a how do you help other people learn to express their emotions, or do you just try and advocate?
I just try and advocate and I try to encourage people to stand up for what they believe in, to be themselves, not hide, not mask, and just be their true selves.
I like that. And we have a couple people in the comment section saying, I wish I would have went to school with him. He's cool. That's Mr. Randall Travis, checking in from Ohio, saying, hi, Mr. Know-It-All. Hey, Randy. Christmas background. Woohoo! You know it, Lex. Let's see. I like the new hairstyle. It's growing out too long, guys. It's getting too long. I haven't had time to go get a haircut or anything like that. Minding my social distance. Loving the glasses. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I guess
Yeah,
we're
and
gonna go with.
also
Go
and
ahead.
also Dylan, about the empathy part, like what was I gonna say? Yeah, yes, we autistics have a common challenge in lacking empathy, but that isn't something we should be yelled at or punished for.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean?
I think it's a greater community understanding. It's a failure of our culture to
Yes, we
understand what it is.
yeah, we are trying to overcome this challenge, even if it doesn't seem like it's enough for him. Our brains just work differently, and that should be respected.
I agree 100%. And again, I do a lot of work with individuals who have autism. And my brother, you've met my brother. Um,
Yeah, Ian, how is he doing?
he's doing good, man. He still bites people.
Well, I'm
but
sure that's not his fault.
he it's his way to communicate, right? So Ian has a unique way of communication, and we're trying to teach him how to communicate without using his mouth. Well, without using his teeth. Sorry, more specifically. Ian, if Ian really wants a Mountain Dew, and we're in the middle of a store and we're saying we can't get a Mountain Dew right now. You know, you just had five earlier. We're not going to have another one right now. He gets a little frustrated, and the way he shows that frustration is through his behaviors, and it's a lack of understanding from a lot of other people's parts, because they don't understand that this is how he shows what he wants.
Yeah, he really does love Mountain Dew. I remember that
Yes.
from the dances. But have you ever like you feel like the have you ever felt like the big brother always protecting him? But has anyone ever made fun of him that made you so angry?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, there are several words that are not in my vocabulary that I don't like when people use them, like the R word, for example.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's my trigger word. It makes my blood boil to insanity and makes my adrenaline rise up and makes me want to teach the person a lesson. I mean, I've been called that many times throughout middle school and high school.
yeah, and it for me hearing that word, it's I get very defensive, and it's because of the fact that my brother specifically doesn't know what that word means, and so some people don't know what that word means either. And so when I hear that, I think that what you're doing is when someone says that about my brother or about someone that doesn't really know how to interpret that kind of word that way, that they're taking advantage of that situation.
Yeah, I got taken advantage of a lot and it really hurt.
For my brother, that's where I kind of put my foot down, is because I don't like people using that word, because I find myself having to defend my brother because Dylan really using headphones as a hairband. Nah, dude, I got the hairband on. Um, but for me specifically, I I find myself defending those who can't defend themselves, and for me, that's my brother
Yeah, and I
specifically.
want to be and I want to be the voice for those who feel like they don't have a voice.
And you're doing that. You're doing a fantastic job, and I really appreciate you coming on this podcast. We got a couple people in chat saying, "When are you going to have him on your show?" Wait, what? What do you? Oh, Ian. Oh, yeah. Sometime soon. I really need to actually make that happen. Mom, if you're in the chat, maybe we can make that happen next Tuesday. You guys can come over. We can do a family stream. We have Matt in here giving me the kissy faces. I love you,
So
dude.
yeah. Anyway, remember when I said something about masking?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone is just tired of it. I mean, society may be more autism aware, but still not more accepting. Like we live in a world that where being different is being feared and being mocked, which is why I like to bring people together to be their true authentic selves. I mean, like people can't thrive in an environment where they can't be themselves, where they don't feel accepted. You know what I mean?
hmm And do you feel like most of the time, like in most places that you go, do you feel like you're accepted or not accepted?
Well, that just depends on the person. Like when I'm around my friends, like my friend Zach Woodburn or whatever, or talking to my friend Jason Mills online, I feel truly accepted.
So do you feel as though people have gotten better about it, even though we've gotten more aware? I know you were talking about how you were saying that society has kind of gotten more aware of it, but they haven't been. No, do you feel that people have gotten more accepting or no?
Well, people more accepting, but more aware, but still not more accepting. There's still a lot of work to be done in this world, Dylan. You mean like, you get tired? You ever get the feeling you're tired of trying to prove yourself when you just want to be yourself? Even if we aren't, as I say, normal, which I really don't like to say, no one wants to feel that sense of unworthiness. We don't need others to validate us if we already feel worthy and enough. Like, and there's this in sometimes in social groups where the leader just wants someone to prove themselves when they're just trying to have fun. I mean, you can't be someone's friend and try to prove yourself to them at the same time. That's not how it works. If you're really wanting to be someone's friend, you need to accept all aspects of that person.
So true. I think people kind of forget that.
Yeah, which is why there's still a lot of work to be done.
Does anybody in chat have any experience with any of this? Um, Kaylor saying that's like Kakashi's mask underneath it. Another mask. Love you too, brother. I actually grew up using the R word because I didn't know better, says Mr. Know It All. Of course, I don't use it anymore.
well, it shouldn't be used at all.
Right. Well, I think that there's been a shift, right? Because before the word was a medical word, it was used to describe a medical condition. And so when people, I think we started getting a better understanding, and when people started to use it more derogatory, that's when it had a negative impact. And so I think that'll always be there, sadly.
Yeah, it will. Just like we're all their autism is something we're born with. It'll always be a part of us.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. I think you make a really good point to come out and say, that society itself has to have a better understanding of what autism is. Because autism, like you said, will always be there.
Yeah, I mean, and also just because you can't see our autism doesn't mean we don't have challenges. When I'm talking about those on the higher end of the spectrum itself, most think we have it easy, but we don't. I mean, the lack of understanding of autism leads to rush judgment. Like for us, like myself, just because we don't look or act a certain way that makes our autism obvious, people sometimes expect too much of us. As any other person on the spectrum, we still have significant challenges in our everyday lives that stand in the way of us living a comfortable life or succeeding in things like school or work. I mean, when your disability is invisible, it's challenging in many ways. You know, they
Mm.
think we need to be more aware of certain things, but it's hard for us to find the right words to express what we want to say, and we might have trouble understanding what others are saying. And when people talk too fast, it makes us hard to understand. You know, and we're very sensitive to others' negative reactions. Autism is just to characterize how our brain functions. It's not broken, and it just works a different way, and that way it just should be respected. Also, some people just don't understand what it's like to be us. You know, they assume the worst about us autistics, and they make all these violent stereotypes about us, like we're stalkers, violent, incapable, lanky, athlete, and other negative stereotypes. Even when all we want to do is just be friends. Like they always assume we're the wrong, and it's infuriating. Like for example, like we see something on Instagram and we follow you, and or see on Snapchat, and we want to be part of it and show up. We're not being trying to stalk you. We just want to be a part of it because we hate feeling left out. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. It's a very good point. And I think, like you said, a lot of people are kind of misunderstood. It's that knowing aspect, that awareness. It's you can't ask a fish to fly.
Yeah, they should get to know us by who we are on the inside, not how much or little we act like normally, or they shouldn't judge us on the superficial traits that we present on the outside. Get to know us for our hearts on the inside.
Have you always known that you have autism? Because that's an important question. Because I know a couple individuals that go through life and they found out when they're like 18 years old that they didn't know they had autism.
Well, my parents told me when I was 14, like I didn't know I had autism when I was younger, even though I always knew I was different. I just didn't know how.
Hmm. How did you take that? Did you?
Well, it took me a while to process. Well, because like I just felt so confused and isolated. That way, I just tried to hide my autism, you know, trying to be like everyone else. It took me a while to learn to accept myself. Like during middle school and most of high school, being ashamed of my autism, I expressed it so intensely that started hurting people physically and mentally. I even started breaking rules from time to time. I try to observe what other people are doing by hiding my autism and try to fit in their world and be like them, trying to seek approval of others. But later I learned that I can't think like everyone else. I just need to be myself, and I don't need anyone's approval.
I think you found your path. Obviously, you're a very well-spoken young man. I mean, even more well-spoken than some of the guests on our podcast. Um, and that's a knock at Dell because Dell. I love you, Dell. I'm just kidding. Um, but I really do commend you
Thanks.
because you've taken something that it's not really, it shouldn't be seen as a negative, but sadly the world sees it that way. But you've taken
Yes.
it and turned it into a positive.
Mhm. And I'm still trying to. Also, they think us autistics don't fall in love so easily. Have you ever seen the show Love on the Spectrum on Netflix?
No, I haven't.
Well, I really learned a lot from it. Well, the thing is, love is a very complex emotion. Like it can make us do crazy things that we wouldn't even think of doing. Like any relationship, it requires communication, honesty, and compromise. And whether in the spectrum or not, relationships are complicated. But for us on the spectrum, it's more difficult and overwhelming for us because it's hard for us to find the right words to express what we want to say. And even if we do have the same desire, like neurotypicals.
Right. And Kaylor's saying, I feel like knowing is just the first step. Everybody functions differently. And then Randall says, Mom will agree. God made everybody in his image, black, white, disabled, green, purple. We're all humans. Never be afraid of who you are. Dell's saying, I see how you feel. I love you,
Yeah,
Dell.
and us being human, we're not supposed to be perfect in everything we do or say or how we look, you know?
I think everybody has their gifts. I think everybody has their gifts, and everybody's put here to serve a purpose. And that might
Yeah.
sound corny, that might sound cheesy, but I really do. I believe that everybody's here, whether big or small, is here to serve a purpose.
Oh, and
And
speaking of which, like that reminds me of my third article when I wrote about the good doctor, you know?
mhm.
Like I thought that not people have the stereotype that autistics are smart with extraordinary gifts. And there are things called you ever watched The Good Doctor?
I haven't. I mean,
Well,
I've seen an
the
episode, but I don't watch it like that.
the good doctor also the main character not only has autism but savant syndrome. Like it means like really extremely smart. Like autistic savants, they seem to attract the most mainstream media attention because of their extraordinary gifts of analyzing and calculating. And I wanted to be like that sometimes because I was never good at math. However, not every autistic person is built that way, and that's what puts a stereotype. And very small amount of individuals on the spectrum turn out to be savants because it's very rare. And I have to admit that I'm not a genius. I never took AP or gifted classes in high school. I never even took calculus and I wasn't even good at statistics. But I don't really care since everyone learns at their own pace, right? I graduated college with decent grades, even if it took me like 5 years. And I'm still trying to figure out more of myself. I mean, like you said, you don't have to be a genius or have a special talent to contribute to society. Every individual has, even on the spectrum, even those who are nonverbal, have something they can contribute for the betterment of society. You just have to try and find out what it is.
See, I'm gonna get to some of these comments because Kaylor says most things that are different are seen as a negative, sadly. And then Randall says the Good Doctor is an excellent show, Dylan. You should watch it. Honestly, the reason why I didn't watch it was because I felt like it was painting a negative stereotype. Because I didn't want to watch it because I knew a couple people that saw the show, right? And they're like, "Oh, he has autism. Look at all the things that he's doing." I'm like, "Well, that's not what all autistic people, individuals with autism are like. Like you can't just assume that." And so it kind of for me painted a bad stereotype because I was like, I work with individuals who have this or they live on the spectrum, and it's like you said, it's such a rare condition. It's painting this like weird stereotype.
Yeah, and also I used to be called weird all the time, but I learned to accept it because I just tell people just because I can be a little weird doesn't make me less human. I mean, weird can be a good thing. In fact, I think everyone is weird in their own way. Does everyone in the chat agree with that?
Bro, they have they have watched the podcast for long enough. They know who like they know I'm weird. Everybody in this
Have you ever
podcast has been
have you ever
weird at
told
some
them
point.
that just because you can be a little weird doesn't make you less human?
Well, I think most people know that. But I think the problem is, like you're saying, is people with autism aren't always told that.
Yeah, but some just because they don't say it doesn't mean they don't think it.
Right. I had a good talk with someone the other day, and I'm not going to give names, but we were talking, and we were talking about social interactions. We were talking about what it's like to talk to your friend and to constantly be in your head and think all the time about what the next thing you should say really
Yeah,
puts a damper on how you're going to say it. And then you mess up, you say it weird, and then you think, "Oh shoot, that was weird. They're thinking about me. Oh, I'm so weird." And
yeah, you get tired of being told think before you speak all the time, and I get tired of hearing that because like so the next thing I say may not be the best thing to say, but it's not like I'm trying to hurt anybody.
right, that was the issue I had to come to is I had to stop thinking before I spoke. because I would think too much.
Yeah,
And
don't
that,
think too much. Yeah, it just really it puts a lot of stress on you.
yeah, that messed me up. I'll admit, I grew up pretty weird. I'm still weird, and I own it now. Um, what
Yeah.
happened to me was I went through a weird social phase, and I use that word very nonchalantly. But I went through this phase where I would try and I would want to talk to people. I would want to try and say something, and I would want them to like me. I went through this social acceptance phase.
Oh yeah, I feel like way too because I wasn't afraid to go up to talk to people, you know, because I just didn't want to feel alone. And there's one other thing about autism and the stigma. There's also this big fuss about personal space, one way or the other. And that doesn't necessarily mean as autistic trying to hurt anybody. Like, I'm not afraid to admit that I'm a big hugger. I mean, we autistics, we don't always understand the rules of how far away to stand or when to stop talking or asking questions.
Right. Ian is actually notorious for invading people's personal space. And what he'll do is he doesn't mean it to be mean or anything, but he just wants to, he wants to just love you. That's it. Like most of
Yeah,
the time, you've experienced it. Ian's given you a kiss, hasn't he?
yeah, and I didn't mind that because I know he just wants to show his love in his own way. I mean, that's not his fault, okay? But if people give him a hard time about it, I'd come to Ian's defense. Like, I mean, Ian didn't choose to be born the way he is.
Right. Uh, let's see.
Okay, can I is if your mom's in the chat, can I tell her I said hi and I hope she's doing well?
I think she is in the chat. I don't know if she's talking anymore or typing, but well, let's get to some of these comments. Kaylor says, "Bro, it took me 6.5 years to graduate. You're good." I'm still called weird though, says Kaylor. Randall says, "I always say I'm not crazy. I'm insane." What do you mean by that, Randall?
Well, still, everyone is weird in their own way.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I think everybody in this chat, I was going to give a percentage like 99%, but no, everybody in this chat is weird at some point or another.
Yes. Also, we autistics shouldn't feel the need to hide anything. Some of us may look or act different, but we still have feelings just like anybody else. For example, like I may get a bit irritated when I get interrupted or when someone doesn't let me finish speaking, but that doesn't mean I don't care about people. And first impressions aren't always my best sometimes. It doesn't stop me from trying hard to meet new people. Like because of things like aggression, meltdowns, or hugging impulses, which I have a lot of, for example, people view autism as a source of annoyance, disappointment, or worse in different ways and to different degrees. That's why there needs to be more tolerance in this world. And one thing that bugs me is that there are some who would take advantage of an autistic's desire to have friends and then stab them in the back. Like there's this one friend that one tried to someone pretended to be his friend, and then when he did something out of the ordinary, they put it on Snapchat, and he was teased and mocked about it for a while now. And they could just pretend to like you, and when you do something weird, they'll make other people see it somehow, and then they'll make sure the autistic is bullied, and that's a shame.
Look, I'm not a
That
fan of
happened.
cancel culture, but those individuals need to be canceled.
Yeah, and like I was tricked into saying something weird a lot in high school because I didn't know what was going on.
If you ask Ian to say something, he'll probably tell you to shut up. So,
Yes, I didn't know what the word meant, but I just didn't know. I just went with it, and then I was made fun of for it, and that really hurt my self-esteem.
you know, for for can you explain the difference for chat? What the difference is between autism and other, I guess, intellectual disorders?
Well, autism it's a spectrum. It's a wide range, and it's separate from Down syndrome and
Right.
other disabilities. The thing is, Chad, I'm still learning, and even when I try to mentor someone, I tell them that I don't have all the answers, but I still try to help in the best way I can.
Right. I think Ian has a diagnosis of autism with a severe intellectual disability. So it's not the same. But for Ian, one thing I do envy about him is his ability to just not care. And it's not that he doesn't care. Like he loves me and he loves mom. He loves mommy. Like to the point to where if I have to watch Ian for a little bit, he's like, "Where's mommy? Where's mommy?" She'll be back soon, dude. The thing is, Ian doesn't care about the social interactions though.
Okay.
And that's what's interesting. And so I think he's I don't know how to describe it very well. And so I'm kind of working this out as we talk. But Ian gets to the point to where even if it's socially unacceptable, Ian doesn't care. He's gonna do it. He's going to do whatever. Like the other day, for example, my mom told me the story about how he walked up to a lady, and Ian is a butt guy, guys. Ian is a butt man. And he decided to walk up to this lady who we have never met before. She's a complete stranger, and smack her right on the butt. He didn't care.
Really?
He didn't care. He just wanted to do it. He saw a butt. He liked it. He smacked it. He did it. So, again,
What happened? Then what happened?
My mom had to explain to the lady that exactly what Ian was thinking, and she didn't take any offense to it, but my mom had to jump in, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry."
I thought about that some one time. A butt thing is not an autistic thing. What some worse? I think I also have OCD. Sometimes when autism OCD, it comes as a package of autism. Like we get obsessed with certain things and we can't really explain it.
That is true. Ian does get obsessive about a couple. Like
Yeah.
for example, um,
I sometimes get obsessive with things that, and sometimes I can't really explain it. It's like my brain just tells me to do stuff or say stuff and it feels right to me, even when it's wrong. That's
really,
that's mostly how I feel sometimes. And I guess that's how Ian feels. Like his brain just tells him to do stuff and it feels right to him, even when it's not right for the other person. So I kind of have a similar understanding of what that feels like.
that's pretty enlightening. Because Ian will what Ian will do is gets these impulses,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah, I get impulses too. Well, maybe not as much as Ian does, but it still happens.
right, and like I said, Ian is a butt guy. So if he sees someone bent over, don't bend over in front of Ian, guys. Don't do it. Just don't. He will smack your butt.
But
And
still, it's not. Still, I'd say it's not his fault.
no, I mean, we've tried to talk to Ian and tried to help other people that are around him. That's why we go to the same places. We go to the same stores. We go to the same restaurants because it builds a relationship with Ian, right? So instead of having to explain to people always what's going on in Ian's head, we build a relationship. So people get to know Ian. And so when stuff like that does happen, nobody cares. Like we're like, "Oh, Ian did it again." Kind of thing.
Yeah, but still, I want people to understand Ian and get to know him for who he is on the inside.
Yeah, and that's why we go to the same places. We
Yes.
go to the
Hey,
same.
Dylan, have you ever thought of saying something like this about Ian? I just wish people would take the time to get to know him the way that I do, and don't feel sorry for him, or don't feel sorry for me either, because I got a brother who teaches me what's important in life every day.
Well, that goes back to what we were saying earlier about everybody has a gift. And I think everybody was blessed to be here and to have a purpose. And the thing is, Ian has taught me way more than I have taught him. Ian has taught me way more, and so many more life opportunities have come from Ian than I have given to Ian. And that's just the reality of it. Ian has changed my life. If Ian was neurotypical, I would not be the same person I am today. I won't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't have the same friend group. I wouldn't have the same relationship that I have with my family. I wouldn't have the knowledge of some of the psychology behind some of these behaviors that Ian has. Ian has taught me so much. And again, I think that I really do wish that people would get to understand him a little bit more.
and get to know him the way that you do.
Right. Ian is a very unique individual.
Yeah.
Ian is very. He has taught me so much. He's taught me cuss words. He's taught me so much. uh, and like I was going back and I was saying, you look like if Steve Jobs had no job. Shut your mouth, Chandler. Let's see. Like I was saying earlier, Ian has taught me to not care so much about social cues or social interactions
Yeah,
because,
picking up social cues is still difficult for us autistics.
well, like I said, Ian has gotten to the point to where he doesn't care. Like he's comfortable in his own skin.
Yeah, and I feel comfortable in my own skin too, but still, I got criticized for liking who I am. You know?
I don't think anybody should be criticized for liking who they are.
Yeah.
I think you're a very important young man. I do. I think you're a
Thanks.
very important young man that is gonna do a lot. Gonna do a lot of change for individuals with autism.
Yeah, and some people just expect you to be a certain way to be accepted in society, but still, I want to be their true self. You know, I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not for the sake of someone else's sanity.
Right. Let me get to some of these comments. David said, "What's up, homie? Sorry I'm late." No, you're all good, buddy. Life happens. Randall says, "You know me long enough, Dylan. You know I'm weird and crazy." Absolutely, we're all weird and crazy. In
Yeah,
crowds, I'm always wondering if they're making fun of me. Do you go through that too?
yeah. Sometimes I wonder what people are thinking, but usually I don't care what other people think because I think, "Heh, let them think it, and it's their loss." Okay, and also like sometimes, remember what I said about first impressions? You
Right.
know, like some people just aren't willing to look past your bad qualities and focus on your good ones, you know?
Sadly, I think that's true for everybody.
And one of the things that bugs me is sometimes I still encounter that people saying, "You don't look autistic." And I feel like I have to respond to them, "Well, how the heck am I supposed to look then?"
That is kind of annoying, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. People making assumptions about you without knowing the extent of your struggles is so frustrating. Like having a invisible disability is really difficult because people expect you to be, normal, again, which I don't like to say, or act in ways that just don't feel natural and therefore don't cut you any slack when you make mistakes and have high expectations of you based on your age and height. Sometimes people are more understanding or sympathetic when they see physical symptoms of a disability, like a facial deformity or if someone's in a wheelchair, which is why it's important to educate others in this world. Still, Dylan, I love who I am, and I wouldn't change anything for the world. Still, it's tough to fit into a world that doesn't always fit us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And again, I think you're a very important young man. Stepping up and just saying, I want to be an advocate for this kind of stuff, because what you're doing is you're not only challenging the social norm for autism, but you're also challenging a lot of things that we have in society. A lot of
Yeah,
these things that are people just presume about people, other
yeah,
individuals.
and I'm willing to step up and challenge that. It's like when you're trying to convince someone that you're not so bad, regardless of the mistakes you made in the past, but they're just not convinced because you made a bad first impression on them. I'd say don't waste your energy on those individuals. If they're not willing to look past your bad qualities, focus on your good ones, it's their loss. Like going by first impression is so exhausting. You got to dig deeper. And sometimes, still, even people who barely know me assume the worst about me. And that's not fair.
What are some of the things that they assume?
Well, sometimes there are times when I made mistakes, like in the social group back then, and stories have been told about me. I like how I get really impulsive and snappy and whatever. And I tell this one guy, I mean, who are you to judge? You don't even know me.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just hard. And there are some who would turn other people against you without hearing your side of the story, you know? And trust me, I've had that many times, and it really hurts my feelings.
Like I said, man, I don't believe in cancel culture, but people like that should be canceled.
Yeah,
100%.
like, and sometimes the words still ring in my head. And when a potential friend just believes what the other person says about me and doesn't even give me a chance to explain, then they just block you and ditch you. Don't want to be around you.
You ever get
That really hurt.
do you ever get stuck on specific words, like
Yeah,
repeated over and over and over again?
yeah, that's part of my autism repetitive process because when I'm trying to think up new words to say, it just sometimes gets repetitive. Even when I'm trying to make a different meaning, like sometimes as a cat, it's hard for us to find the right words to express what we want to say.
Does that get frustrating?
Oh yeah, it does when you're trying to sound. But that's why I try to look up some stuff from other advocates, like to see from their perspective and try to make the perspective in my own way. But that can be really hard.
Right. And you do a bunch of articles, right? You write a bunch.
Yeah, I've done like 6 articles, and
Really?
yeah, on Autism Speaks.
The website Autism Speaks.
Yeah, the website Autism Speaks. Yeah,
Was-
and I also did two on the neuroclastic.com, which used to formerly be known as the Expergian.
So people, those are up right now. People can go find them, right?
Yes, I can send you the links, and I have also have my own website called artofryansheart.wordpress.com. My poetry's on there, and all the links I'm on there.
Please send me the website. Send me your website so we can post that in chat so everybody can go take a look. That would be awesome. So tell me a little bit about some of the articles that you've written.
Well, I've written from my perspective on my experience and how it was to growing up, and hearing other perspectives from other advocates, and I was trying to put it in my own words.
Send him my IG. I will, guys. I will. Um, so when you send me that website, I'll actually post it in chat so everybody can go take a look. Kirkio says that was preaching.
Thanks.
That was it. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I love being an advocate for disability. Me being disabled myself. And then Randy says, "Hi, Kirkio." Yeah. So if you send me the link, I'll post it in chat and make sure everybody can get that.
Yeah, I'll send you the link right now.
Yeah. Perfect.
In,
Perfect.
in, in, I'm sending it to the chat right now.
Perfect.
Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it. I'm gonna copy and paste that. WordPress. I'm gonna check this out, guys. I just sent that in chat, so take a look at that. We're gonna be going over that. We'll probably spread that on socials. Um, so what can people do in general to help support?
Well, get to know other people on the spectrum, and like try to understand where they are coming from. I know we won't bite. You know.
Right, and Vodek and Dell, you both redeemed Blink, but I didn't, so I'm gonna blink for you guys real quick. I need to change that. You guys give me so much crap for having it at 1,000. I didn't want to have it so low to where you guys spammed it, and then I was literally just like fluttering the entire time. So
Hey, you also want to give them my socials. I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook and Twitter.
do you really have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I do.
What do you do with the YouTube channel?
Well, I post my perspective on autism, and I also do live karaoke videos because ever since the pandemic started, got really bored, and I wanted to find a way to make people happy. And I do love singing, so I just started doing karaoke in my favorite songs, you know. And I just sent you the link to my YouTube channel.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. I've seen some of your karaoke videos on Instagram. I didn't know you posted them on your YouTube though.
Yeah, I live stream both on Facebook and Instagram at the same time with my iPad and a tablet.
Yes, he does, Randall. His Instagram is Ryan Lee. Just you can look up his name.
My Instagram is Rymar101.
Rymar101. And then
Well, I can send you the link to that too.
perfect. Yeah, you can send me that, and we'll post that all in
Just
chat.
did.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, man. We should have just had you prepare some karaoke for us tonight. That would have been good.
Yeah, well, I'm a little tired from today, so I'm not like so I can't really do some karaoke. Also, I'll also send you a link to my Facebook as well.
Perfect. Perfect. I think are we friends on Facebook?
We are, Dylan, but you never really come on Facebook a lot.
I don't use Instagram. I only use Instagram when I'm posting a video, but I haven't posted any videos in months or weeks. And now I only get on when someone sends me a message. So
Yeah, and I also have Twitter. I love using that too.
perfect. Perfect. We're getting all the socials. Okay, hold on, hold
Yeah,
on.
that's pretty much all I got.
Twitter. Guys, I keep posting the whole thing over and over again. I'm sorry. That's the Twitter one. Okay, perfect. Perfect.
So if you want to reach out to me, you have to hit me up on my Facebook, Instagram, mostly Facebook. I use Twitter a lot less, but I still check it once in a while.
Okay, Randall wants me to give you his Instagram real quick. Let me go ahead and do this. And this is going right in chat, and you can have that. That's for you. That's his Instagram handle. But Ryan, thank you for this very enlightening conversation. It has been fantastic to have you on.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I loved being on here, Dylan. And will this be posted?
Yeah, it's posted right now, so it should be processing in the next few. Give it like less than an hour, and it should be ready to go on YouTube.
Yeah, I had a really fun time talking with you and everyone.
Honestly,
And
I didn't even realize we were at 50 minutes already, to be honest.
because we were so into it. This was so much fun. I hope this reaches a lot of people.
I hope it does too, man. I think a lot more people need to be aware of what autism is, and any other disability that has to deal with that's in that spectrum of things. Do you mainly advocate for autism, or are you for some of the other disabilities?
Well, I advocate for other disabilities like Down syndrome because a couple of my best friends have Down syndrome.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ian has.
I think people with Down syndrome make the world a better place.
Absolutely. We're gonna camp over the summer, and we have individuals that have, a wide range of gifts that they come from all over Georgia and even some other states. But
Yeah. You should post my socials on the YouTube video.
it is. It's gonna be in the live chat.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be in the live chat. People are going to be able to have it. So when the video gets processed and it goes up on YouTube, it's going to appear in the socials. Okay.
Yeah.
Or it's going to
awesome.
appear in the chat, so people can have that. Sound
Yeah.
good?
And one of my favorite sayings that I go by.
Uh-oh. What just happened?
Like,
Ryan,
did you hear
there?
me?
No, what'd you say? Sorry, I think my system just lagged.
Well, one of my favorite sayings that I like to go by is that people should appreciate you for who you are, not for what they think you should be.
I'm gonna have to start living by that motto. That's why I like the whole fish analogy. You can't judge a fish based on its ability to fly.
Yeah.
That's
Just
one
like you can't judge a book by its cover.
absolutely. That's my favorite analogy. Because everybody has their own gifts. Like you can't force somebody to do something they're not good at.
Yeah, and nobody in this world is perfect. There is no perfect individual in this world.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Mr. Ryan, for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for joining chat. I really appreciate it. You have all been fantastic. Make sure you go follow him on his Instagram page. If you are in all of his socials, check out his. What's up, Miss Peachy? Check out his. Gosh, I'm losing my own train of thought right now.
My website,
Yes, your website. Thank you.
like my WordPress website.
Yes, check out the WordPress website. All the links have been posted in chat, so make sure you go back, check those out. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. I'm gonna raid somebody on Twitch, but I'm gonna keep you here for just a few seconds, okay?
Okay.
So stay over here. Let me raid somebody. I guess I'm gonna raid this other talk show, this other podcast, okay, guys? Give me 1 second. Hopefully it's not loud. I'm just gonna copy the name because I don't want to spell all this out and then mess it up, and then you guys are gonna be waiting for a while. Love you too, Randall. I love everybody in chat. Thank you so much.
I just followed Randall on Instagram, by the way.
Perfect. Raid. Disrespect. Make sure you guys, this is another podcast. Make sure you guys go in there, show them some love, tell them you're from Daydreams, show them the Dream Team, hashtag I love you guys. Thank you for coming out tonight. Make sure you guys go check out Mr. Randall's Man, I feel like Tony Stark with these glasses. Make sure you guys go check out Mr. Randall's YouTube page and everything. So I love you guys. Thank you for daydreaming with us. Have a great evening. Tony Stark. Tony Shark. There we go. Okay, guys. 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And right now, hashtag Dream Team. I love you all.